What is going on, everyone? I hope you are all having a fantastic day. So, as a certain illness continues to spread here in the United States, a lot of schools and colleges specifically have had to or soon will have to make a very difficult decision on what they're going to do with the upcoming fall semester. And as many of you know, I am currently a college student myself, and as a financial minimalist and someone who just loves to save some money, this has got me thinking a lot about how college students can turn this really crappy situation into some really great savings on their next college semester. So if you want to know how you can save thousands of dollars on this upcoming semester or on college in general, or even how to go to school entirely for free, then be sure to stick around to the end. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, get your free $100 using those links down in the description for SoFi, and let's jump right into it. So we all know that this health crisis is changing every single day, and this has really kept colleges and universities on their toes because they are constantly changing their reopening plans based off of the latest guidelines. My university told us at the beginning of July that we would be going back in a hybrid format, only to tell us a week ago that we will now be completely online. And this is something that a lot of colleges and universities here in the US have had to face. Some universities have said that they are going back to start and then will transition to an online format later in the fall, anticipating a rise in cases later on when flu season does start, while other universities have said that they simply don't have the infrastructure or financial capability to support students online entirely. And on top of all of that, you have college students across the country getting really mad at a lot of these universities who are refusing to drop their tuition prices despite them going online completely. For example, a little-known university known as Harvard, you may have heard of them, announced earlier this month that they will be completely online and simultaneously announced that they will not be dropping their over $49,000 tuition cost. Now, this is an extreme example, and if you were already willing to pay such a high cost to attend this prestigious university, then you probably aren't too concerned about the cost anyways. However, this is a real frustration for a lot of students and parents, but the good news is that you have a lot of options and different ways that you can save a lot of money during this upcoming semester, and the first of those is to not go. Okay, pause for a second because I know this sounds a little bit ridiculous, but I mean this in two different ways, the first of which being not physically going back to your university and being completely online. And for a lot of students, this is the reality whether they want it to be that way or not. Take me, for example. I was prepared to go back to school since I am a student employee and I'm pretty involved on campus, but the university decided that we will be completely online, and as a result, I will be living at home and saving a lot of money in a lot of different ways that we'll talk about in a minute. However, I do also mean don't go, as in maybe consider don't go to school at all in the fall. Now, if you're like me and you don't really mind the online learning, or if you're already well into your degree, then it's probably in your best interest to just stick it out and hope that you can have a regular experience during the spring semester. However, most universities will hold your spot for at least a semester, so there's really no shame in taking a semester off and getting a job to earn some extra money, or focusing on something that is really important to you. And if you're a freshman who is just heading into college, then I definitely would consider taking a gap year and starting your college experience the right way in a future semester. Taking a gap year between high school and college is a lot more common than you may think, and it allows you to pause for a minute and decide what you're actually interested in before just jumping into something and potentially making a very expensive mistake. Plus, by taking a year off and working, you are avoiding that opportunity cost, since by attending school, you are obviously not only paying the cost to attend, but you are also giving up the opportunity to make money if you were not going to school. Okay, so that's the most extreme way to save some money in the fall, but for the rest of these, let's assume that you are in fact going back to school, whether that be physically in person or online, because most of the tips that we're going to talk about will apply to either of those situations. So the next slightly less extreme thing to do is to transfer to a less expensive school. Again, this might sound a little crazy, especially if you take a lot of pride in your university, but I would definitely consider going to a less expensive school if you're going to be online in the fall anyways. I mean, let's be honest, most students fall in love with some physical aspect of their school anyways, whether that be the physical location, the student body, or some other aspect that attracted them to that school in the first place. And while the academic reputation of your school is clearly a very important factor as well, for most undergraduate students and most academic programs, the place that you get your degree from is not really that important. Now, again, there are obviously outliers to this, and if you're on track to be a high-level engineer, then yeah, you should stay at MIT. But for the average person earning a regular degree, you might be able to save a lot of money by going to a less expensive school. So if you're currently at a private university, maybe consider looking at an in-state or community college just for the time being to save some money, since you're going to be online anyways. And similarly, if you're an out-of-state student currently, maybe it's time to consider an in-state program, since you might have to be living at home this fall semester anyways. Now, transferring to a new university might sound like a huge hassle, and you will have to plan carefully and figure out what credits will transfer. But I think you'd be surprised that it's a lot easier than you may think, and there's actually a lot of universities and programs that are offering incentives and scholarships and grants to transfer students because they know there's a lot of movement going on right now due to the health crisis. So I know those first two examples were pretty extreme, but if you love your university and you're ready to plow ahead with their program, then that is totally fine, and there are still a lot of great ways that you can save a lot of money this fall. So assuming that you have decided to continue your schooling and you're sticking with your current university, the first and most obvious way to save some money is applying for scholarships. I know I probably sound like a parent getting on their high school senior's case about applying for scholarships, but this is really something that you want to take seriously because there is so much money out there, you just need to go get it. I myself have earned over $50,000 in scholarships and other benefits through being a student employee, and that means $50,000 in loans that I don't have, not including the interest that would accrue on a loan of that size. Now, you might be rolling your eyes right now thinking that you've applied for scholarships before and you never seem to get anything, but when it comes to applying for scholarships, it really is a numbers game. If you are heading into your freshman year of college, or even if you're currently in college, you really need to make applying for scholarships a full-time job or a side hustle at the very least, because in order to make it worth your while, you need to apply for as many scholarships as possible. In my case, I only earned about 10% of the scholarships that I applied for, so for every 10 scholarship applications I submitted, I only received 1. Honestly, 10% is pretty good, but if you only apply for 5 scholarships, then the chance of even getting 1 is really small, and even if you do, it's probably only gonna be a few $100s or maybe $1,000 if you're lucky. But what if you apply that 10% rule to 100 scholarships or 1,000 scholarships? Suddenly you just earned thousands and thousands of dollars that really is directly going into your pocket, because that is money that you're not spending on your degree, and a penny saved is a penny earned. Now, you're probably thinking that this sounds really time-consuming and horrible, and how in the world am I going to apply for 1,000 scholarships? Well, I have 2 responses to that. First of all, there are websites like Scholly where you can just put in your information once, write 1 or 2 general essays, and then automatically apply for hundreds, if not thousands of scholarships at once. My second argument is, let's say you spend 1,000 hours applying for 1,000 scholarships, which I promise it does not take an hour per scholarship, but let's say out of those 1,000 scholarships, you only earn 50 of them that are each worth $500 each. That means for 1,000 hours of work, you just made $25,000, which breaks down to $25 an hour, and I'm pretty sure that's a lot more than most high school seniors or college students are making. Now, what if you earned 100 out of those 1,000 scholarships, and each of them was worth $1,000? Well, now you're making $100 per hour. And keep in mind that scholarships are not just for people who are going into college. There are all sorts of options for high school seniors, undergraduate students, graduate students, people in trade programs, and really every other form of formal education. So if you are in fact in any sort of educational program, then the highest paying job that you really can find is applying for scholarships. Okay, so specifically looking at the health crisis, there are a few different programs that will help you keep some of that hard-earned money in your pocket this upcoming semester. Well, you may or may not know this, but interest on federal student loans right now is actually paused, and that might save you a little bit of money in interest, but the CARES Act, which was the bill that was passed a while ago that gave $1,200 to a bunch of people, well, that included funding for systems of higher education, plus private and public universities are also able to apply for the Paycheck Protection Program, and that money is strictly allocated for certain things like faculty, staff, and students. That means that these schools have to put a portion of this money towards each of these initiatives, whether that be tuitions or grants, or offsetting the cost of the upcoming semester for its students. I know my university receives $12 million in PPP funding, and pretty much all of that has to go towards faculty, staff, or students in some way. That means that I continue to get paid for the spring semester and the job that I had, despite the fact that I wasn't on campus working. Plus, my university lowered their tuition and dropped a lot of fees for the upcoming fall semester as well. Okay, but how does this affect you? Well, I assure you that my school is not the only one that has taken advantage of the PPP funds, and I highly encourage you to go to your school's website and dig through every single page and find out what scholarships and grants they are currently offering through the CARES Act. Maybe this means contacting the bursar's office or reaching out to the administrative administration of your school, but again, the money is there, you just need to ask and know where to find it. If your school received money from the PPP, like I said, they have to put that towards specific initiatives, which includes students, so be sure to dig around on their website and find out what grants and scholarships you might be eligible for. So beyond those 4 big ways to save money this semester, I really just challenge you to see this difficult situation in a positive light if you can. Maybe your school is staying online and you might be bummed out about that like myself, but try to see the silver lining in all of this. By staying home, you obviously save some money on housing costs and food costs if you are living with a parent or guardian. But being online might also mean that you now have more time for things that are more important to you, whether that be a hobby, finding another job, or even taking more classes. I know for myself, the asynchronous online schedule will free up a lot of time, and I can put that towards making more videos and putting out more content on this channel, which I'm really excited about. I know it's not an ideal situation, and regardless of what your school decides to do, your fall semester is probably going to look very different than what it used to be. But try to see the silver lining in all of this and take advantage of the good opportunities that come out of a radical change like this. With that being said, let me know down in the comment section below what school you go to and what their plans are for the upcoming fall semester, because I really am curious how different colleges and universities are handling this difficult situation. Remember to get your free $100 when you open a SoFi Invest and SoFi Money account using those links down in the description. And also, since we did talk about college and money in this video, there is also a link to SoFi Borrow, and if you want to refinance your student loans with SoFi, then that link down in the description will give you $300 for free when you refinance your student loans with SoFi, so be sure to check that out. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this in the future, and of course, take it easy, and I'll see you in the next one.